This time we'll go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Stony Brook Community Development District. This is Tuesday, October 27th, 2020. The time is 9:01 a.m. And we'll let the record reflect that all supervisors are present, with Supervisor Harlan participating by Zoom. Ms. Chairwoman?
Do I have any public comments? Okay, Mr. Reynolds.
I have a question.
And these are just comments.
Well, I'm making a comment. I heard that we've got a gas station going out here in the back, and it'll be using our road.
I have not heard a thing about that.
They had a public hearing on it a couple weeks ago. I talked to the zoning guy yesterday, and I said, what about this? I contacted you guys. I said, haven't heard anything. Their plans called for, where the dirt road is there for the fire department, they're going to make that a road coming around, a gravel road, and bring it to the school. And the gas station is going to be near our road, and they're going to use it for egress to the exit.
You know, they have never contacted me. I've never received any information about that.
Well, it's out there, so I thought to mention it because the road basically is yours.
Ours.
Pardon?
Ours.
Well, CDD. Same pockets, right? Okay. But I mean, it's out there. The guy's name is Matt Noble. He's a zoning gentleman at the village.
Noble, N-O-B.
N-O-B-L-E, I believe. And I would think he should make some contact either way. So we, the Stony Brook, know what's going on back there.
Chuck, have you heard anything?
I've heard nothing.
Because there was a public hearing. I heard that.
There was an announcement.
Just one speaker at a time, please.
Planning meeting that was to take place regarding that gas station.
Okay.
That was Joe Micah for the record.
Okay. So, Bill, did you get an email with regard to that, or it was just...
No, I heard about it through the grapevine.
I actually did hear about it too.
The village has approved the 7-Eleven there, and 7-Eleven pushing for 24-hour service, and the village hasn't quite approved it yet. But that'd be very nice to have behind us.
That'd be a nightmare.
All those lights on.
Yeah, especially a lot of people live on Waywood.
What about the traffic?
Well, to me, so what they're doing in their plan, I was told yesterday, is they're going to move where you come out of our gate instead of going left. The dirt road there is going to be improved all the way to the firehouse and then back out the corkscrew for the school traffic. That's all I know about it.
All right, I'll give them a call when I get home, because I didn't get anything with regard to it. Did you hear about that, John?
I heard, like Bill, I heard it through the grapevine. I forget who I was talking to. A real estate agent I was talking to about it. That sounds like a nightmare.
I did mention that last month, that I heard something about it from somebody, some realtor, somebody inquired it here at the office, and that's all we knew about it.
Yeah.
And I understood they had a public meeting, and supposedly we're talking with you folks.
I mean, that's going to be the stop for everybody at the place. Belletary. I mean, think about it. If everyone's going to stop right there at that 7-Eleven, I'd stop there when I leave here, because I go that way when I go home. You know, that's going to be a lot of traffic in there.
Okay. No,
It's the only store, you know, once you get past the intersection, it's the only thing that way for 20, 30 miles.
That little general store.
If you want to call that a store.
All right, I'll contact him when I get home.
Please share your information.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Lou?
The only comment that I had was I wanted to come and especially thank Ed Harlan and John Blakely for their years of service. They've been on board quite a while. I know being an ex-board member, it's not always an easy job, but and it's not a thankful job for the most part. People don't want to serve most of the time, but I would just like to thank both of you for your years of service and a good job.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they have one more meeting.
Just let y'all know your next meeting is November 10th. The certification period doesn't end until November 17th, so you'll still be sitting board members at the November meeting.
Okay, thanks. Joe Micah, did you have something?
Yes, I did write you, I don't know whether you got it or not. My question is this: during the last meeting, it was mentioned that there really isn't any kind of a plan for the landscaping. And my question was this: do we have a and review it myself. And next, are there any other plans in place or that are needed to be in place so that when we come to the budget meeting next year, we don't have this debate as to whether or not how much should be assessed or not assessed, because we do have a plan that needs to be addressed. And that includes a plan for the golf course as well.
Joe, we put money aside in this last budget for landscaping, and I have put out asking residents to be a part of the landscape committee. I've heard from one person at this point. And what we'll need to do is get together, if I can get a committee, and with everybody so concerned about it, I would have thought I would have had more response. And speak with landscape architects to see what their view on it is. We need to get some opinions on it. I mean, we're not arborists or horticulturists, but I'm looking for a committee to do that. Now, at one point in time, you had voiced an opinion that you would like to participate on that. You can let me know whether you still want to do that or not. But, you know, we need to do that. I mean, I can't go ahead and say this is my 5-year plan for landscaping until I can get a group together and talk to landscape architects, as the committee did 8 or 9 years ago. So that's our plan. As for the golf course, yes, we'll be sitting with Jeff and John going over what we need as far as cart paths, you know, when the greens and the fairways will need to be redone, and, you know, I'll be working with them, as will some of the other board members, you know, finalizing those things so we have a better handle on that.
Are there any other areas other than landscaping that need to be addressed in a long-term plan?
The road work is something that we talked about, and that is, I think, supposed to start in 25.
2025.
25.
That is pretty much, it's not approved, Joe, but it's planned out. That's going to be a 6-year deal. About $250,000 a year would be assessed per year. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Chris. I'm sorry.
That's a 6-year deal. It's going to start in 2025 and should be around $250,000 a year for 6 years. So from an assessment standpoint, what's this, about $100 or no, a little bit more, 150?
150.
Yeah, it would be about $150 a year per door. The assessment would probably start in 2024 to get to the 2025 money and so forth, roughly.
Yeah, it would start off with the November 2024 property tax bill. You have those monies to actually pull the trigger that spring on the first days.
Right.
So we do have that.
Technically, that's not approved yet.
No,
but it is a project that we have documented.
Actual engineer's report on it.
Yeah, we do have that report on it. And John Budnick had come up with a suggestion that the cul-de-sacs, when we look at this again and speak with the village, try to reduce the size of those so there's not as much damage as the big trucks are going around. So those are really the things that we'll be working on and have a better idea for budget next year when we're doing this. But the roads and the landscaping are the two things that will affect the homeowners, and the other things will just affect the golf course and the revenues from the golf course.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay. John, you're on.
Not much to really talk about on my end. Flowers have been installed, mulch has been installed, pine straw's been installed. Tree trimming just got finished up yesterday. I think they'll be in here today, tidy some things up.
And that was just for the common grounds?
The mulch and tree trimming, yes. The mulch and tree trimming were. We did pine straw and flowers on both golf course and common grounds.
I meant the tree trimming was strictly.
Yes, they did both the palms, and they gave us our 13.5-foot height requirement for the fire department on all the trees coming in on the roads.
So John, are they done with that?
There's some other stuff they got to tighten up.
No, I mean the trees because it's funny you say that. Yesterday I was walking my dog and a box truck came flying by, laying home, and it was nailing oak trees.
Okay. Well,
so, I mean, it might be higher than
13.5 feet,
I don't know what the height was, but I was just sitting there going, are we having that done?
Yeah.
They do it every year. don't they?
Yeah, we do it
I'm just
every year.
saying, you might want to check that out.
Yeah, and I know that's where, weren't they, that's kind of where they were at trimming yesterday, weren't they?
I don't know.
If I remember correctly.
I don't know.
All right, I'll take a look at
That stuck
that.
with me. That did happen yesterday, and I was thinking, aren't we doing that again? The box truck might have been 113 feet. But it was definitely hitting tree limbs.
And then, so sod's gonna be soon to come. We got some things we need to tighten up on both the golf course and common grounds, some trimming and stuff like that. And then once we get done with that, we're gonna do some sod prepping and laying some sod on the common grounds. I think 4 trucks on the common grounds, and then we're gonna do like 11 trucks on the golf course. I'm sorry, pallets. 11 pallets on the golf course, 4 pallets on the common grounds. Sorry. Yeah, a lot of grass. I'm currently fully staffed. I just hired a girl for the golf course who has previous experience, so we're good there. I've given everybody 2 proposals for pavers at the pro shop area, the putting green area, for when we put up the tent. One's from Master Z Paving, the other's from Clark Construction. As you can see, Clark Construction is double the cost for the pavers, and Clark Construction also gave us a cost for just a concrete pad.
It's very, very hard to hear.
Is this, okay,
Just
John,
need to speak up, Miss Lund.
And
It comes from this, John.
it's coming to you.
If he uses the microphone, that may project better.
and also, we have, if you notice, the concrete pad was even more expensive than the paver proposal from Master Z. So depending on what you guys like to do moving forward, you know, I can call Master Z and tell them to move forward, or, you know, we can table this for another meeting. Really, that's all I have.
I don't think we'd want a permanent pad there.
Yeah.
Sometime down the road, there might be a decision to
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
expand something, and wouldn't it be much easier, not that we want to, but if we had to, it'd be much easier to pull out
But
papers
but
than
if you had the
Yeah.
pad there, you-
slab, right?
Yeah, you have to cut it up and bust it up. Now, the pavers would look better anyway, just
Right.
matching everything around it, the surrounding area, what's currently there.
is this tent gonna be put up permanently?
9 months out of the year.
Okay, if you have a hurricane coming or anything else, the tents come down, like up in northern Florida, they had 6 hurricanes so far, so 6 times bring it down, put it up, put it down, put it up. I think myself that if we leave the grass the way it is and put the tent up only when we need it. We're gonna probably have 1 event, maybe 1 to 2 events a month.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, John, but if you put the tent up and it's more of a permanent structure at a 9-month, it does allow us to do other things besides just events in and out of that tent. You know, other people can be underneath it. We could use it for, maybe, you know, right now we don't have any Duffies.
Well, I thought we were buying a tent just for events, that's right.
No, well, I mean.
That's why I said
The
that.
primary purpose would be events, but we could still use it for other means. And we could have it up, you know, October through June. And part of the deal with Calusa, with buying the tent from them, is they'll come and take it down for us and help us store it. So, and they will take it down if there's
In the event of a storm.
a storm's coming, you know, like, you know, we're able to call them and they'll come take it down for us.
And Jeff, by leaving it up, we don't have to get a permit every time we put it up into the
Right,
tent.
yeah,
So it's a cost factor.
we're working with the city of Estero, the village of Estero, on what exactly, how that's gonna be entailed, but no. I mean, every time we pull it down and put it back up, you supposedly need to get a permit, you know?
Which is?
$300.
$300.
So if we make it more of a permanent structure, we won't need the permit, per se, every time. We had to find out exactly what the cost on that's gonna be for keeping it up year-round. I'm sure there'll be some kind of permitting for that, but,
Have they given you any indication on what kind of wind speeds it can handle? Just think about, we've had some pretty good, and we have not had any tropical threats. We've had some pretty good gusts here in October.
Sure.
You know, I'm following you on keeping it up, But I do have some concerns on what kind of, they've got to have an idea of what kind of wind speed you need.
Yeah, I can call Danielle and ask her.
Plus, what do you think about how, is the material made to be up permanently?
Yes.
That stuff gets eaten up by the sun, the rain, all that stuff starts to decay.
Well,
Any concerns there? Or did they say, hey, we have some sort of...
well, it's meant to be up and more of a permanent structure.
Okay, all right.
But I mean, like anything, you're gonna have decay. It's Florida.
And we're going to have to keep it clean.
We'll have to pressure wash it, clean it.
And I don't want to muddy the waters any, but when I was spraying this morning, I was thinking about that, the meeting and everything we were going to be presenting. Would it be worth our time to maybe get a quote for a pole barn? Like, nice,
Do you have someone you could contact with regard to?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely find somebody, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to muddy the waters, I don't know, but to have that, it would be a permanent, the wind speed wouldn't be an issue. I don't know, I mean, I look at the numbers.
Well, that's a terrific idea, but I think you're talking about. I think you're talking about.
Yeah, I know where you're going with it, but I don't know.
That would probably raise the cost 100%, from 8,300 to about 80 grand.
I'll take on my own time, I'll just call somebody and be like, I was
I
wondering.
get where you're going, but we probably have to start looking at insurance repercussions there. It's more of a permanent type structure. We probably have to get more permitting.
You definitely have to get one permit to build it, yeah.
Did you check with Joe with regard to insurance on the tent?
Yes,
Okay,
it's a small add-on.
okay. He already did check with,
We're gonna insure the tent. I mean, obviously, we
Right,
want
but I'm talking more of an insurance of more of a permanent.
the building one, yeah.
yeah.
Several of the other golf courses in the area, I know River Hall used it for maintenance shed, and they had it up for like 3 years. And Esplanade had theirs up for about that long. They used it for park one.
You're talking tent?
Tents, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
I mean, they worked for them for like 2.5, 3 years.
so one of the clubs that we kind of base some of our stuff off of is called Hagen Oaks. It's in Sacramento, California. They have the same kind of structure with a permanent tent up that they use for weddings. And when we start talking about opening up to other avenues or streams of potential revenue, I mean, you could rent a tent for a potential wedding and they bring in their own caterer. We could go into things like that with it. I'm not saying it's something that's going to happen every weekend and we're going to make a fortune off of it, but it's out there.
But now that group
Junior
becomes,
girl birthday parties.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And then,
Well, the Chicago guys that come here every January have already promised $2,000 towards it because they want it. Because here's the thing, and I don't want to say Duffy's has been a wonderful partner when they were open. It's been good for our business, good for their business, but they're not caterers. They're not golf course tournament. The 144-person scramble. They don't know how to handle that, and this allows us to have a facility for it, and then we can hire our own caterers. And if we want them to cater it, fine, if they can figure out exactly how to do it, because they're always trying to stuff us on their patio, and there's like 80 guys on that little patio out there. That never really worked.
no, I mean, I think it's a good idea, and then the birthday parties, that's a great idea for them. With the women's league, maybe we'd use it, the men's leagues could use it. I mean, you could even get that Saturday singles group. They might want to do something afterwards, so there's more potential for them to use it, and, we'll have to figure out a cost for that. But I think it's a good idea, so.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes.
I live outside of Chicago. I've been here about 5
Can I
years.
have your name, please?
Mike Schrader,
Could you spell the last name?
SCHROEDER.
Thank you.
And there's a number of really high-end clubs in Chicago that have taken advantage of this tent idea, Cantini being one of them, and they have a it's a whole big complex, but their use, I used to be in the wholesale golf business, not that
That's a good start. I've got to know some of these people, but that outside facility got used a lot for all these different things, anniversary parties, and if there's some concern about the aesthetics, these new tents, you can set them up and they look like ballrooms. They have, and they're durable enough, especially in Florida. I mean, Cantina uses theirs year-round in northern Illinois, but, they can have cathedral-type windows on them, they have nice lighting if you want it, and to Jeff's point, they don't have all the catering facilities necessary, but down here in Southwest Florida, I can't believe that you could set up something where people would love, especially with what's going on now, to have an opportunity to serve as small as 50, but whatever size tent you put up.
Right.
But I'm mostly saying this because if you're concerned with the aesthetics, they do a very nice job with these things versus just like, not that it's a big eyesore, but what's up there now, a tent is a tent, but there's all levels.
And the other thing that we are looking at doing is getting electric to the tent, and then when we have golf outings or even the weekly events, doing online scoring and have it right there in the tent so they can sit there after the fact and do that. And I'm hoping that it helps the concessions because people sit there and drink beer and soda or whatever afterwards and have some hot dogs or whatever. So I think that would help with the concessions as well. So
You could even get a little bar out there, right? Put a little bar out there with we sell from the concession beer, so that way you bring it to them, when they sit down, it's right there. Oh, I want a beer, it's right there. They don't have to walk over to the.
right. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Work the deal with cater.
Yeah.
Them cater, we supply the alcohol.
Yeah, but even on
Beer.
like Wednesdays or Saturdays when the men and the women are finished, that they want to sit there and just do the scoring, and there could be beer and sandwiches and soda and stuff available at that point. Which and yeah, the caterer, if we catered something to have them, do it from soup to nuts. So okay, so I guess we have to look at this now.
So my recommendation would be the pavers and the tent, obviously, and then because I think that would be best. And then you're probably looking at somewhere around an additional $1,500 for the electric. You'd run the electric and you'd have one of those outdoor boxes with the cover, and we can have electric there, right there by the tent for the TV. The wireless internet is actually outside. It's on the corner of the pro shop there, so that's not an issue. I've stood there with my phone in that spot, and it's 5 bars, no big deal. We're getting plenty of internet there. So yeah, I'd like to move forward. Obviously the Chicago guys will be here in January. We have a junior golf fundraiser in December. I'd love to be able to use it the first time in December. Danielle says it's 4 to 6 weeks to get the tent. So if we get approval today, we can go ahead and order the tent and get started.
John, why do you think that one quote is twice as much as the other?
I talked to the salesman for Clark, and we kind of laugh back and forth. That he's like, I don't know either. I'm like, listen, I'm not going to question how a man wants to run his business or what he wants. I tell him what we need. That's what you want to quote on. And as soon as I seen it, I'm like, looks like we're not using you guys. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Well, I think sometimes with those guys, my experience has been when they don't want to really do a job, they bid it up.
Right.
Yeah.
They got too much.
Right. If they got, and that's the case when they got a lot of work right now, if it's going to be something small, they tend to inflate the price a little bit. But now, if this was January, February, and the guys are slow and they're looking for work to keep their guys going, it'd be much different.
Have we used Master for anything?
Yeah. Masters, he did the driving range. They did a lot of that work around the putting green.
We have history with them, and
They did very good work.
And
Very
that
quick
one-
and efficient.
Are they the ones that said that they would fix that one?
Yes, and they're also going to fix that little bird bath. Now, that's only probably going to be a temporary fix. I got a feeling what's happening there is there's something organic matter down there, and it's degrading. And that's
Okay.
why, when we get heavy rains and stuff like that, it just slowly
Kinda sinks
sinks
right
down. Because we fixed that twice already.
Okay, but if they'll fix it while they're there.
They'll fix it, they're there, make it nice and, yeah. Now, these pavers that we got quoted on, they have them in stock. At the time, that was 2 weeks ago, he's like, if you want to order it now, he's like, I can have this done in probably a month. I said, that'd be perfect. I'll call him, if we decide to go ahead and go through this, I'll call him and I'll get an ETA on that, and then I'll email it or text you and Jeff. And
Excuse me, Master Z.
what's that?
Master,
What about them?
that's the one you talking about?
Yeah, Master Z, yes.
Master Z put my driveway in, and their bid was half the price of the other guy. And I mean, it's a short driveway, but it was a small job.
Yeah.
But that's probably the reason.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make the motion that we accept this and move forward with this program.
I'll second it. I was just thinking, yeah, pole barn.
It'd be beautiful, man. It'd be about 80 grand.
Yeah, at least 20.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Do I have any comments?
Yeah, this is it.
Yes, Ed?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, so I've been listening to this, and it wasn't too long ago that we decided we had to have a much bigger putting green. And now we're talking about taking that on the side and putting a 10-foot pavers all around it. They really need to get our priorities straight here. 10's fine, but it wasn't too long ago that we were saying we needed a bigger putting green. So I don't get it. That's what happened.
And that, well, I think remember too, that quote came in for 100 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the big difference there is, personally, I didn't see the need for a bigger putting green, but I understand where the argument was coming from, especially on these tournaments, you're standing on top of each other. And again, that was a six-figure project.
And that's why I have the putting green shut down right now. Just for,
Right.
let it rest.
I don't know, this is a $15,000 project?
With everything, it would come to about 18.5.
18,
With the
so
electric.
$20,000 project, and it potentially could bring us in more revenue.
I mean, right now, we know it'd be down to 18 with the Chicago guys. The thing with the,
Jeff, what do you think your priority?
Well, I mean, I understand where it's coming from, and,
I understand.
a $100,000 project, I think, kind of put that out the window. When we got the price, it was like, well, that's not possible. John's going to be at a point probably the year that the bond's paid off or thereafter where we're going to have to redo the greens. And when we do that project, maybe at that time we can look at some reshape or revisit form of the putting green. But right now, we just can't do that project. Where we can do this with this tent and we can make some money from it potentially and carry us for the next, 6-7 years going forward. And then maybe when we get to that point, we can look at expanding the putting green and moving the tent. Move it to the other side of the cart path there or make some other alterations.
Just thinking about that, what about potentially putting either the tent there now, I don't know if that would work with these numbers, or down the road doing the greens, make another putting green over there.
Yeah, those are possibilities. I mean, but right now, the putting green is it's unrealistic financially to do that. This is more of a realistic project that could add added revenues. I mean, whatever decision was made X amount of years ago when the greens are redone to reduce the putting green to that size was a very poor decision. And, I don't know where that came from, but...
Well, it sort of stemmed out of the fact that we couldn't use the concrete pad.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Without
Yeah.
paying the
Right,
$500,
yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was per use or per month, but it was,
yeah,
There
cost
you go.
effective.
There you go.
so
So,
we needed the staging areas for things like the beef tournament and so forth and so on.
yeah, okay. Well,
That's kind of where that came out of.
And the other thing, back in the spring when the putting green was really needed healing, we used the chipping for some of the putting practice too. I mean, it's, we can use both, kind of.
well, there's no reason to say that we couldn't expand the chipping green too down the road.
Right.
And, 6-7 years from now, when we're redoing the greens, we expand the chipping green, double it in size, and because we're using the 110 crossovers. I mean, that makes sense too. So, I mean, those are things we got to look at. But the putting green project is just out of hand. It can't happen.
you're talking 8 years down the road before we could realistically afford it.
Right.
Does that answer your questions, Mr. Harlan?
Well, yeah, actually, I think rather than put it where you plan, put it across on the right-hand side of the range, because there's plenty of space there, rather than put it where you want to put it now, and tear it up later on, and move it across.
Well, we could do that. I mean, and I don't, the price wouldn't change because all the dimensions stay the same.
We talked about that about 6 months ago, putting something up over there for
That was
affairs.
a school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the
Well,
dimensions
let's
don't,
look at it. I mean,
the price won't change, dimensions stay the same.
Yeah, there'll be a small increase in the pavers because the walkway is going to be longer from the curb up to the range than what's in the quote.
Right.
But right, the pad's going to stay the same. As long as you keep it on that flat spot. Now, if you move it over to the low one, now you got to start working some dirt.
No, we're going to leave it on the flat spot.
But if you want to put it up there on that top flat spot, where it's, at the very end, yeah, that would definitely be feasible. Electricity's still not an issue. We have a controller right there on the leg bank that has power running to it, so we can still get power to it.
That might make it more attractive for rental as well. You've got a little bit nicer ambiance at the lake there.
That's
And you're not
true.
right there with other golfers.
It's 18th green.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because it's not as congested where that
Right,
would be.
we can't forget about the internet if you're going to use it for scoring and stuff like that. I don't
That'd
know.
be fine.
That'd be fine?
Yeah, the worst case scenario, we put something out there to boost it.
Booster or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think real quick. There won't be any irrigation issues.
We don't necessarily have to paver a walk path. We could stone a walk path,
Yeah, I could do I could get some nice material, some nice,
Well, let's see what the cost would be to do the paver walk. And, I would say let's, if I can just add something to the motion that we not exceed $20,000.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Any other comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so if you guys can continue with that and just see about doing it on the other side, John?
Yep.
And just the additional cost for that, and then, that might be easy to do the electric there where you're not affecting the
Sure.
putting green at all.
Yeah, that probably will work out better. So that's a good idea.
I want to bring up something too, to think about maybe later on in spring, depending on how the season goes, a lightning warning system. I don't think they're too expensive, and you only need 2 locations, somewhere out on like 5, somewhere at the pro shop, or even 10.
Okay.
Once again, put them next to a controller, irrigation, or one of our irrigation controllers, up the powers there. I didn't know if that would help us insurance-wise. I don't know if we pay because of that, or if it would help our insurance, or if it's something we even need.
I know that,
Stand on the front.
yeah.
Yes, Dan's on the phone.
We talked about this before. It's been a while. My memory, Dan, if you're there, you might help me out. I think from a liability standpoint,
Doesn't make any
makes no difference.
No difference.
But he should probably say that. I know we've talked about it.
But Jeff,
It's been a while.
on the golf cart, can you put a thing saying lightning in the area? I mean, can you change?
No,
that?
yeah, we can
so-
send that as a
You do that.
message.
You do that.
We've done that, we do that.
So we do have a way of getting to the golfers to tell them, and if they choose not to come in,
The majority of golfers don't even look for signs up there.
Well, that's true.
And then, you get the whole liability factor of if the system goes off and they don't come off the golf course. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. I agree with John. I mean, like a majority of clubs in Southwest Florida have Thor guard or some kind of lightning guard detection that goes off and tells them to get off the course. But,
It's not a need
yeah, we've made it
this far.
this far without it, and we've been able to kind of, like, I know our rule with junior golfers is 10 miles. We all have it on our phone. If it's 10 miles, we pull them in and we got them in the, in the pro shop.
That's
And
what they do with the schools, and even with what do you call it, when they're leaving for busing in the afternoon, if it's within 10 miles,
Yeah.
you're doing it in completely different ways.
Right,
Chris, didn't Wildcat have a warning system?
they still have it. You can hear it go off every once in a while.
Wildcat.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you hear it go off every once in a while.
Wildcat has it, you can hear Grandazes if the wind's right sometimes, Grandazes.
Like it's 50/50 on the courses I play.
Yeah.
Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them are so close to other courses, you're not sure if you're hearing theirs.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
I'm almost positive when we talked about this, there was a case where there was a course that had the system, it went off, people didn't come off, there was an injury, and they still got, litigation was brought up, so.
Well, Heritage Palms had some pretty heavy litigation about, they had a bolt out of the blue. The system didn't go off and the guy got struck and died. And they got,
Maybe that was it.
yeah,
That's going to be your liability right there.
yeah.
Malfunctioning the system.
And I remember we decided at that time, we had it posted, I think it was even on a sticker on the.
Yeah, the USGA
shield. I think there was something, maybe on the ticket, I don't know. We had things posted and it was just decided, well, you're posting it.
It's just like the alligators.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know how many people take pictures and post that, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Alligators?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of people.
So,
Good idea, but
I think we-
probably could use the money elsewhere right now.
You know what else is kind of funny? I'm pretty sure that's a Chinese alligator.
I believe the meeting, but I just sent you an email that where the village of Estero announced that gas station plan, and just so that you're aware, it's called Corkscrew Pines. That's what the plan is. And they've already held a meeting regarding the rezoning of that area. So you have it in your email as to what was described in the announcement from the village.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
What I'll do, Chuck, I'll email it to you, you can email it to everybody else.
The traffic's already horrible, don't you?
Jeff?
Yes, ma'am. In other expenditures, the board had asked me to look into the replacement of the mats. I got an estimate from Turfhound. It wasn't the correct estimate. I'd asked him for 24. He